Peace, peace, beautiful beings, and welcome back to my channel. I am Coach Vee, and I'm a certified holistic life coach, speaker, and author, and the creator of the Mental Health is Sexy brand. Welcome to the third episode of a new segment on my channel called Mental Health Mukbang. This is a candid conversation about mental health while having a meal. However, today is a little bit different. As you saw the opening photo, that is not what I will be dining on during this conversation. That was a spontaneous lunch date with my country boy today, and I knew I was not going to eat another full meal. So I went ahead and took the picture so I can show y'all what I ate earlier today and why I will just be snacking and chilling during this mukbang. So I have some frozen treats. Excuse me. So I want to do just as well as I did in episode 2, if not better, when I'm actually speaking and eating, right? Because I'm a polite eater. So this whole talking and eating thing is a challenge for me. So I have an orange creamsicle here, and I have what some people call a firecracker. It's red, white, and blue. So we're going to see if I can talk to you all and actually enjoy these treats without them melting. I do have them on a towel though, just in case, just in case. So if you have not had a pleasure of viewing the first 2 episodes of a mental health mukbang, I will actually attach a card at the end of this video, which will take you to the playlist for this segment. As always, if you are in my city of Cincinnati and you are a restaurant owner or you make plates and you would like to sponsor a meal for a future mukbang, please feel free to visit my website and send me a message of interest. And I will put the website address in the description box here, which will be www.coachvmp.com. Right now, because this is a new segment, there is no cost to be a sponsor of one of these mental health mukbangs. You just give me your information as far as your business name, any special descriptors you want to have with the meal that you provide, and I will highlight that in the video that your meal sponsors. I do anticipate this particular sequence growing over time. So later on, there will be costs associated with sponsorships. So get in now while it's free. Because you know it takes a village to build a brand. So you're helping me build my brand by sharing the video once it's available. And I'm helping you build your brand by giving you a big ups and showing that you support a mental health platform. So again, if you're interested, there will be the email address or the website address in the description on this video. So you can go ahead and send me a message there of interest. And if you are not local to Cincinnati, but you still would like to sponsor a mental health mukbang by either gift cards or Cash App or something like that, you can still send me a message on the website and let me know. And we will get back with you as soon as possible with the details to support. Okay, I think all the business part is out of the way. I'm super excited for this conversation today because I want to talk about the what I can assume or observe to be the mental health practices of our Black superhero, of King T'Challa, of 42, of Marshall, of Jacob King, better known or known his name to be as Chadwick Boseman. Rest in power. As you know, King T'Challa recently transitioned, and it was a shock to the public, celebrity, and regular folk like myself because apparently he'd been dealing with cancer for 4 years. Like he was actively dealing with cancer, and the type of cancer slips my mind right now. I know it wasn't pancreatic. It was the type of cancer slips my mind right now. So if you remember what it was, please leave it in the comments below. But I think the bigger shocker was that no one knew. And no one really knew because throughout those 4 years, he was busy producing entertainment for us and killing it, like showing up and playing full out. And to find out that he was sick and had been battling cancer and treatments and chemo and fatigue and pain and all these things during that time, but he was still showing up to his craft, that speaks volumes in itself. I mean, tremendously speaks volumes. You know, a lot of times people get a headache or a stomach ache and we call off work. We don't feel like being bothered. Sometimes people party too much and they call off work. They don't feel like being bothered. Chadwick was dealing with cancer for 4 years. And not only did we not know because nobody ran and told his business, we did not know because he didn't speak upon it himself. And as far as we knew, he did not exhibit signs of slowing down or signs of him being terminally ill. The one time that in retrospect that we as a people can go back and look and say, oh, there was a sign, was maybe a year or so ago when he had pictures and he was severely smaller in size. He looked physically sick. And what the majority of people did was talk mess about it. You know, they talked mess about it, made jokes about it. Now to only eat crow because now we know he was battling cancer for 4 years. That alone had to have such a tremendous mental health self-care routine. And that's why I want to talk about it. And not just about Chadwick's routine, but his wife and whomever else was in his immediate circle that knew he was sick and did not feel the need to talk about it, did not feel the need to sell his story, did not feel the need to secretly take pictures and leak them, did not feel the need to call paparazzi or the tabloids when he had a doctor's appointment. Like, when we talk about keeping your business to yourself and living your best life and loving on the ones around you, King T'Challa is the epitome of the type of example that I would want to have for myself, as well as you should aspire to. Because, like I said, think about how many times people talk and gossip and bring you the tea and spill the beans, whether it's on social media or whether it's in real life. This man had a whole cancer he was dealing with, and nobody knew outside of his immediate family until he transitioned. Let that marinate. Let that marinate for a second. When I tell you the mental strength that was needed for himself and his loved ones around him that knew, and for the fact that all the celebrities, the people behind the scenes in entertainment, I heard and read so many great opinions about this man's character, about his work ethic, how he treated people, how special he made people feel. There's a saying, and the author is slipping my mind right now because it's late. It's actually after midnight in the Midwest. There's a saying that goes, people don't remember what you do for them. They remember how you made them feel. And so if anybody can tell me who the author of that statement is, leave that in the comments below. But I mentioned that to say this. So many people are talking about how he made them feel, how special he made them feel, how attentive and patient and helpful he was on set, the type of father he was, the type of stand-up man he was, period. Like, there was such an outpouring of love via social media and interviews. Look, ice cream already melting. About this man's character. Like, I couldn't even be sad. You know how a lot of times when someone transitions, whether we know them personally or not, or we've experienced them, there's this overwhelming feeling of like sadness and grief. I couldn't feel that for Chadwick, and I'm going to tell you why. Because all throughout the stories and the recounts about his life and the people he's impacted, I saw royalty For real. How he handled himself, how he moved, how he loved on his family. I saw nothing but royalty. I saw a man who knew, hey, this is what's going on. This is my fate. So let me stay in a great mental space and love on my family, love on others, and work to the best of my ability so that that's what they remember. Maybe he had the mental idea that, I don't want to tell people my businesses. I don't want them to pity me. I don't want them to feel like, oh my gosh, poor baby. I want to be able to control the narrative that will be around me once I transition. Think about that. Think about how different the conversation would be about him if we knew he was sick. If we knew he was sick for the past 4 years, would our conversation be different? Instead of Wakanda Forever, instead of how he performed as James Brown, instead of how he played Thurgood Marshall, instead of how he played number 42, instead of those conversations, because the society we live in, what the conversations have been, he needs to sit himself down somewhere. He needs to take care of himself. He need to go have a seat and be with his family. He out recording movies. That's selfish. Think about that realistically could have been a conversation, because people today are so opinionated. People today are so negative. And people today are so apt to mind the business that does not pay them. And society in general, I believe, has shifted that way because of poor mental health. Period. I said in my last video, I was referencing a slang term, but I changed the derogatory term for women out for the actual word woman. And I said, happy women ain't hating, and hating women ain't happy. That goes well with today's conversation, because when people aren't happy, when people are judgmental, when people are led by ego, when people think they can tell you what everybody else should do because they not busy minding their own business or removing the sty from their own eye, that's a sign of poor mental health. Because as references in previous videos here on my channel, when I talk about mental health, I'm talking about the outlook you have upon yourself, the outlook you have upon the people around you, and the outlook you have upon society as a whole. So if you're always being a negative Nancy or a negative Nelson, or you always got to add your 2 cents in a conversation, or you always got to put a negative spin on something under the guise of, oh, I'm just keeping it real, or I'm just telling the truth. If you always have something negative to say, or you're always tearing other people down with your words, that's a sign of poor mental health. Because when you're doing things and exhibiting day-to-day practices to support and maintain a healthy mental state, you don't even have a desire to gossip, talk negatively about other people, talk down on people, hate on people's moves, be judgmental, be over opinionated, because you're too busy focusing on your mastery of self or self-mastery. You're too busy focusing on what could I have done different? Did I need to say that? Could I move different this way? I learned this lesson for next time. You're so busy focusing on that, you ain't got time to judge and nitpick the next person unless you have poor mental health. Now, let's be clear. Poor mental health does not necessarily mean you have a clinical mental illness. I want to make sure that the new people visiting my channel understand that that's not what I'm saying when I talk about mental health. When I talk about poor mental health, it does not mean that you have a clinical diagnosis for a mental illness. That's not what that means. Poor mental health has more so to do with, here on my channel, the outlook about yourself, about other people, and about society at large. So, y'all, I'm making a mess. But this is so good. And I think part of me is very self-conscious about it because I have my earbuds in today, which means the microphone is up close and personal, which means you're going to hear every smack, every slurp, every noise. So I'm really, really self-conscious about that. But anyway, so when we view poor mental health as having a poor outlook towards yourself, the people around you, and the universe at large, you are quick to run with bad news. You are quick to be judgmental. You are quick to be negative. So what if Chadwick knew and was tuned in, tapped in, and turned on enough to know that the society in general is negative? So let me not give them fodder. I want to protect myself and my own mental health during a challenging time. I want to protect my family. I want to protect my loved ones. So let me not give them extra information, aka tell them all my business, because they're going to be negative. There's going to be some supportive people, but there may be an overwhelming response of negativity. And I don't want to put my family through that. I want my family during this challenging time to be protected, to be loved upon, to be able to enjoy my final days here on this earth. So because of that, let me keep my business to myself, make this money, stack this up so I can leave my family an amazing inheritance so that my legacy can be strong, and let me do that. And when I physically transition, then my family can release the statement, hey, this is what's been going on. This is what I've been fighting, so that I can control the narrative while I'm here. Think about that. That's why I couldn't grieve when I saw that King T'Challa transition. I couldn't, and I keep referencing him because he is a true epitome of a king. The way he moved, the way he handled his business professionally, the way he handled his business that we know of personally, that's king behavior. And the good king has good mental health, and you have good mental health by implementing a great mental health self-care routine. Think about that. So I think that we can take away several lessons from the example that Chadwick left us. Number one, stop telling so much of your business. Get you a good friend, get you a religious leader, get you a family member, get you a therapist, get you a life coach, hint, hint, get you a sister circle, a brother circle, get you some people around you who you can trust, that are your confidants, and that who you know will more than likely keep your business your business. Number two, firecracker. Number two, have a routine in place that, let's say if for some reason you have your circle and they're not reachable, they're on vacation, they're asleep during your crisis, they have their own things going on, so you may not want to bother them. There can be several reasons why you can't reach whoever you have in your space. Have you a backup plan? If your plan A is to call a friend, phone a loved one to vent, to talk things out, and they're busy, but your energy is all over the place because something just happened that challenges your mental health, have a plan B. And plan B could be a journal. Write out your experiences, write out what you want to manifest, write out how you feel. It could be an exercise, a particular exercise. Jumping jacks are a great distraction for challenging times. You could go jogging, bike riding. Have plans in place back to back, boom, 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 that you know will effectively allow you to focus back in on the present, focus on your breathing, release that negative energy that's building up until you're able to talk to your friend, your pastor, your life coach, hint, hint, your girlfriend circle, your circle of boys. Like, have things in place so that you're able to control the narrative about your own life. That's the lesson I took from Chadwick's passing, because I'm currently experiencing some personal challenges that I had to very clearly decide not to allow my mental health to suffer, right? So, in light of that, I've chosen to be very discreet as far as who I tell the specifics of my current challenge. And this is why I want to control the narrative on my end. I don't want people to think that, oh my gosh, she's going to fall apart. Oh my gosh, the whole brand is at stake. Like, no, that's not what it is. I have a mental health self-care routine, and that allows me to not feel like, oh my gosh, I'm losing my mind. Now, that doesn't mean days are perfect. It just means that I have a systematic plan in place to keep me from spazzing out. That's all that means. It doesn't stop me from being angry or disappointed or hurt. It just stops me from like spazzing out. So, with that being said, I was even more encouraged to keep my business to myself when I found out, like everyone else found out, that Chadwick had cancer and had been suffering for 4 years. Other lesson I learned is still show up, still show up and play full out in life. Do you know how many people are told or experience life unfavorable situations, not even half as dramatic as having cancer, and they stop playing the game of life? They sit it out, they give up, they feel defeated, they feel broken down. And let's be clear, I experience those same feelings. So it's not just having the feeling itself, it's what you choose to do about the feeling. So, do you know how many people experience traumatic life situations, not even half as drama filled as cancer, and they choose to sit the rest of their life out? They choose to be stuck in a rut. They choose to be angry, to be the victim, to be fearful. They choose to continuously repeat whatever that experience was. And it could be something that happened 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. And let's be clear, I'm a firm believer in referencing or mentioning the past as a lesson and as a form of reference or to produce as a receipt. I am not a fan of mentioning the past as if you're still living there or as if it's still affecting you or if it's because you still want to sing the woe is me blues. No, we got to decide to still play full out when life happens. Point blank and period. As I mentioned, Chadwick had a whole cancer and still showed up and played full out. Excuse me. It's the popsicle juice in the napkin. I can't wait to see how that look on camera. So we have Netflix, and I just discovered a movie called Message from the King. Message from the King, starring Chadwick Boseman. Now, mind you, I'm so sorry for this slurping, y'all. Now, mind you, I never saw 42. I never saw Marshall. I did see, I think it's called Get On Up, the story of James Brown. And of course, I saw Wakanda Forever. So, and I saw the Avengers when he showed up as Black Panther in a couple of the Avengers movies. So I watched Message from the King on Netflix. Like I said, starring Chadwick. And baby, to be able to watch his movies now, because I'm going back and watching the ones I haven't seen. And I'll watch Black Panther again because I want to. But to go back now and watch those movies and see how convincing of a role he played. And to know now that he was experiencing like current cancer doing those jobs, it makes me respect him even more. It gives me more encouragement and aspirations to continue on my journey with my mission and my brand even more. Because even though I'm currently experiencing things in my life, they pale in comparison to someone experiencing active cancer and still showing up in life. Now, that doesn't mean I'm trying to minimize what I'm going through or the pain or the hurt or the experiences that I'm currently having. Not by any means. I'm just saying that for me to be able to go back and watch Message from the King, 42, Marshall, Black Panther, Get On Up, and whatever else I find him in, even if he's not the lead role, whatever else I find him in, I have a different set of vision and glasses now watching him, because now I know what he was dealing with and how he was suffering. And because I'm in the mental health space and healing space, I can't watch him without being dazzled and amazed, because this man did not let on in any way, shape, form, or fashion that he was going through a traumatic and fatal life situation. When I tell you mental health on 1,000, do you hear me? On a million trillion? That's what I aspire to be. That's what I want to get to. I was looking, when I was watching Message from the King, I was looking for something that let me forget that he was playing a role, and I wanted to try to find some glimpse of yep, he had cancer, I could tell in this one scene. And I know that may sound silly now that I've said it out loud, but I was, because I am in complete and total awe that his mental health was so strong and so on point, and the people around him had to match his fly. They had to match his fly. His wife, she had to match his fly, because she was living with someone, the love of her life, every day, knowing that any day now he could pass. So for her to be able to keep his business within the family, knowing her husband was physically dying, maybe traveling with him or not traveling with him when he's recording movies, having him away from her for months at a time to make films, and knowing that every day is precious because of his cancer. Do you understand when I talk about strong mental health? Do you understand that strong mental health is not just happening because we want it to? It's something we have to work at. There's routines we have to implement. There's recovery processes we have to have already lined up for the times that we slip. Just like physically, when someone trains, once they reach their goal, they have to have a routine in place to maintain the work that they did. They have to have a routine or a plan in place for recovery if their cheat day turned into cheat weeks. You feel me? So it's the same thing with mental health. These are the things that I want y'all to think about and really take into consideration, and let it sink down in your system and in your psyche and in your subconscious, so that you too can be inspired by this man's story and decide to pivot and make adjustments in your own life. Because I promise you, I'm already on it. I'm on it. I mean, it's an amazing story. Without even knowing all the tidbits, details, in and outs, I know enough to be inspired. I was already proud when I watched Black Panther. Oh, and I think I read somewhere that a lot of his movies, he did his own stunts. He did his own stunts. So not only did he have a strong mental health self-care routine, physically he was pushing his body to the limits while battling cancer, and gave us great, great, great pieces of entertainment. Great pieces of entertainment. It's a celebration, y'all. We need to get it together. So, let me know in the comments what you think about this and about the points that I made. Let me know if you were inspired by anything that I said, or if I've influenced you to have a different outlook on the life as we know it of Chadwick Boseman. Rest in power. If you need help in developing a healthy self-care routine that helps support and maintain your mental health, again, I'm a holistic life coach. Feel free to visit my website at www.coachvee.com. coachvmp.com. I will put my website address in the description box. Feel free to schedule a consultation with me. Feel free to hire me as your coach, and we will be able to figure out what safe and healthy and effective mental health self-care routine will work best for your lifestyle as well as your life experiences, so that you too can increase the mental health of yourself and those around you. And as you already know, whatever you think about or think about, everything else follows. So once you get your mind together, your speech follows, your physical behavior follows, your experiences around you follow, so on and so forth. So if you need help with that, or if you want to gift someone this type of helping hand, visit my website and let me know there. I'm going to finish my firecracker. It is almost done, right? It's almost done. And I will see y'all Tuesday for another episode, actually episode 4 of Mental Health Mukbang. If you would like to check out my self-help book where I share the 8 techniques that I use to beat manic depression without medication, that's available on my website as well at www.coachvmp.com. 2020 has been a doozy for a multitude of reasons, and I am here in building my platform and my brand, Mental Health is Sexy, to help you take full advantage of this type of season so that we can break out into 2021 as our best selves, completely renewing our minds and taking charge of our mental health, which in turn will allow us to take charge of every aspect of our life. I appreciate you for watching. If you haven't already, please like this video and make sure to give it a thumbs up, which is liking the video, and subscribe to my channel. And when you subscribe, please make sure to click the notification bell so that you're one of the first persons to know when I upload new content to my channel. If you have a suggestion on a mental health topic that we can discuss during Mental Health Mukbang, leave that in the comments below as well. And please feel free to share this content with your circle or to just let people know to visit the channel and subscribe. Be blessed.
We got everything I went through, you were standing there by my side, and now you gon' be with me for the last ride.